I lied about having an autoimmune disorder at work. I have horrible anxiety that I have managed mostly successfully for about 10 years, but I always need a safety net or an out for when things get bad. At my last job I was very honest about my anxiety, maybe too honest. Mental health has a stigma, as much as we talk about it and it accepted now are a lot of people, especially in the workplace and older people, who see anxiety as a weakness. I genuinely think it's the reason I lost a promotion at my last job. I got a new job about 3 years ago and tried a different avenue. Lying. Physical conditions are much more accepted than mental conditions. I left it pretty vague, but when I was hired I said, hey, I have an autoimmune disorder that makes day-to-day a little unpredictable, and I get sick often because of it and may have a lot of doctor appointments when I have a flare-up. Which is true, but it's a therapist and not a rheumatologist. This has worked out amazingly so far. No one blinks an eye when I have to take a last-minute PTO day, or have a doctor appointment midday, or when I need to leave the office and work from home. I work at a healthcare insurance company and they take HIPAA and every other privacy law very, very seriously, so I know for a fact that I will never be asked to prove it with any sort of doctor's note.
Practical_pickle 7311. I thought you did not have to disclose your medical condition.
Turk Gonzo 75. Legally you don't. Unfortunately, laws sometimes don't matter when it comes to office politics. I had some health issues and felt like I was forced to share personal info with my boss so she didn't get mad at my last-minute time off requests.
Non-creative_creative. Same here. I'm even getting asked intrusive details about my symptoms, which I'm sure isn't legal. However, I need the job and they have a right to dismiss due to absence, so sometimes the law just isn't enough. Naughty JXO. Hi there, I just wanted to let you know that, in most places, requesting details about symptoms is against policy. In fact, I advise against disclosing specific symptoms because, sadly, this will most likely be used against you later. I'm so sorry that you felt forced to disclose. It is so unethical of your employer to impose this upon you and the person above. If they do terminate you, I would suggest filing a prima facie lawsuit. The more lawsuits filed, the more attention is drawn to the topic, thus forcing employers to comply. I would also suggest collecting as many doctor's notes as possible, as this can aid in your appeal. That is if you wish to appeal. I hope this helped. Smiley face.
Chocolate fix. I've been asked several times at interviews if I have children. I'm sure those same people wouldn't hesitate to ask me about medical conditions if they suspected I had one.
Prudent_scale 3393. I would have said, do you?
Suvrats. I think he needs to set the expectations straight for the manager. That they might need to take day off without prior intimation.
Status is not quo. This is the recommendation from my doctors. Mental health issues are just as valid as physical health but are largely not accepted as such. So, tell them you have a medical condition and leave it at that. No details are required.
Caters Gunnick 8. I have to tell people in public I have low blood sugar when I feel a panic attack coming on. The stigma associated with mental illnesses is fucked.
Lost Departure 935. I have panic attacks and low blood sugar very often, and honestly it's impossible for me to tell the difference without checking my sugar. So, very good excuse. Rolling on the floor laughing thumbs up.
Dazzling Broccoli 62. Especially in the workplace and older people, who see anxiety as a weakness. Old and kept mental health issues to myself my whole life. Believe me, I sympathize.
A spats and super chats. I have both an autoimmune disorder and mental health condition, and when I need time off for mental health I always say it's for autoimmune. So I endorse your approach. No one needs to know why you need to look after yourself. Life is hard enough without beating yourself up like this.
Not_domesticated. Out of curiosity, why did you choose an autoimmune disorder? Did you have a specific one in mind?
That's not me 133. If I had to guess, some are known for having sudden, unpredictable flares, so the callouts in DRSAPPTS look normal, extra care when they happen. And there are so many that the average person really only thinks about their limited experiences with them. I mean, Pop's own mind driving them crazy is essentially like the healthy cells attacking healthy cells of an autoimmune law. Edit because people wanted to argue over my use of most and completely miss the point. Clown face.
Maenads and Momrats. I had anxiety for years, decades, and it turned out it was because of an autoimmune disease, so keep your eyes open for other symptoms.
Ignorance_psyche. Wish I did that. Migraines and anxiety are ignored.
Crazy Parrot Lady 5. Absolutely. People who have never had a real migraine have absolutely no idea about how horrible it is. Migraines run in my family and my children and I all have them. They just think that migraine is a headache.
Ignorance_psyche. They are awful. Majority of my call-ins are leaving early was migraine. People think it's so easy to get intermittent time but you have to prove it, and those are expensive scans you can't just make a doctor do. Never found medication that works. Too many trials. Nothing helps. The work lighting alone would trigger it. Then the blindness, vomiting, and numbness. Swear I am gonna stroke out one of these days.
Crazy Parrot Lady 5. Oh, I absolutely live this. I have to get Botox injections that only last for 2 months when they are supposed to work for 3 months. Then I take Qulipta daily and Ubrelvy as needed. I still have some sort of headache almost every day. Southern Pale Girl. I had a migraine come on and went to the urgent care because my meds weren't working and the doctor kept calling it a headache. I told him one more time and I was going to request a medical review of his license since he didn't seem to know the difference. He was not happy but that MFER didn't call it a headache again. Crazy Parrot Lady 5. I get that. My migraines are not headaches. It feels like an axe is stuck in my skull. I can't see. I throw up. It lasts for days and sometimes even the hospital can't help me get relief. It's definitely not a headache.
Lemon Water Duck. Hello fellow migraines plus anxiety sufferer.
Ignorance_psyche. It's a hard life.
KBP Top. From someone who suffers from anxiety that gives a loot of terrible physical symptoms, I can relate to you. I feel you and I understand you. It is what it is.
Narwhal Enough 6904. There is an issue here but it is not you. I'm sorry.
Poppy 204. Sounds good to me, keep it up.
Prudent_scale 3393. People will never understand about debilitating anxiety unless they experience. Do what you need to. I never said that, but I had a slew of call-out excuses. Once, I text my boss pretending I was my sister, from my phone, saying I was in hospital. It's insane but needed sometimes.
Background_smell_138. No judgment whatsoever from someone who has both types of conditions. I'm afraid to disclose physical conditions as well because some people can be awful. But if you don't disclose anything, that can be bad too. It seems like no one can win a lot of times. I hope people continue to be understanding.
Right kind of nonsense. I see no issue with this.
One big eek. I am attorney specialized in employment law. The reality is that under the ADA, to qualify for accommodations, you need to provide proof of the needed accommodation. You don't have to reveal the physical or mental condition, but a quick Google of the doctor's name will reveal their specialty. While this is working for OP, most employers will require documentation. Tatty Mafia. I think it's fair enough because you've accurately described your symptoms and needs. You've not exaggerated anything, you're just protecting yourself from judgment and possible job stagnation. Lumpy_dependent_3830. I don't see a problem here.
Resident Relevant 13. It's better you stay home when you need to than come to work and have a panic attack. That would be like coughing in all your coworkers' faces. I don't see the problem.
Unlikely Asshole 7448. Lol, that'll work up until you get a shitty manager that wouldn't care unless you shove an ADA in their face. I had one of those and she was the most unqualified manager I've ever dealt with. I do have an autoimmune disease and they can be pretty annoying to get precise VA healthcare though, so that might be a different type of issue. Crazy Parrot Lady 5. I think this is okay, honestly. You need to be able to have this flexibility and understanding, and it is rarely given so willingly when mental health is the cause. I wish it were easier and you could just be honest with the real reason, but there is just too much stigma attached to mental health. I have a child with schizophrenia, so I have seen the discrimination that can accompany a mental health disorder. You chose wisely, and I hope they continue to support you. Standard_jellyfish 51. Absolutely, I'm thinking it a good option. If you are sick, you are sick. It doesn't matter if it's mentally or physically. I don't think there is a legal requirement to disclose your reason for sickness, but I could be wrong. Have anxiety and depression is hard enough without having to call work and justify and explain it.
Not outism. Kudos, I'd do the same.
Sweetie Chick KK. While it's working for now, remember that dishonesty can create its own stress. Weigh the benefits against the potential risks of being discovered.
Covered with ticks. I agree with you. Suffering with mental illness and concealing it for any reason does not sound like a healthy path. For HIPAA, your boss has no authority to be privy to your health records.
Volfinail. Honestly, as someone in a similar circumstance, I think I might do the same too. Very smart.
Strawberry_Snoopy. I have fibromyalgia, EDS and PCOS, and all three make my days kind of impossible. Having a physical disability condition is also very stigmatized. Having to use mobility aids or accessible parking when I look healthy has led to so many awful encounters with people. All that said, you don't have to tell your job anything specific about your health. You can say you have a health issue that limits you in the ways you described in this post without saying it's anxiety and without having to make up something else. You don't owe anyone your health information. I am curious about when you applied to the job. Did you select that you have a disability? I know depression and PTSD count. If so, you have protections as an employee that they can't mistreat you for having a disability. Something to look into in case you need accommodations. Sorry that your anxiety is affecting work life, by the way. Wishing you the best.